Hi guys, welcome to Cooking in Manhattan. Today I want to show you how to cook the perfect steak, a bistecca. There are only two ingredients to our perfect steak. I have a shell steak. You can pick whatever cut you like, but I like shell steak because it has nice marbleization and most importantly a layer of fat which will come into play when we actually cook it. And then kosher salt. Tip number one for the perfect steak is actually to bring it to room temperature. So remove it from the refrigerator about 30 minutes before you're ready to cook. First, we need to season our steak. I season very generously because I want the salt to actually go into the fibers of the steak. As you can see, the steak has great marbleization, which means that fat is actually, see, my oven is ready. Fat is actually inside of the whole steak and not just on the outside. And this actually gives great flavor. So you want to really season very aggressively because with kosher salt will actually seep into the fibers of the meat. So let's turn it over. We want to salt every single area of the steak. So if it has four square surface or flat surfaces, you want to make sure that you really season all of them very well. We need a little bit more salt. Okay. And finally, here we go. The last part, the fat. You want, oops, doesn't stand up. Forza. Okay. Right. Sorry, every now and then I blurt something up. I blurt something up in Italian. Anyway, so this is our perfectly seasoned steak. As you can see, it's really, the coating of salt is actually a pretty thick one because you want it really to taste salty and to also allow all the juices to be distributed evenly, which happens actually when you salt the steak very well. So I'm heating my pan and of course my oven, and then I'll show you the next step. I've been preheating my cast iron skillet to medium high, and also I've been preheating my oven to 400 degrees because I will need it to finalize the cooking of my steak. Now, when your steak has, like this one for example, a nice layer of fat, you don't need to add any additional fat to your pan. Of course, if you're working with a steak that has no fat on the outside that can be rendered, you might want to add a little bit of extra virgin olive oil to your pan to give it a little bit more ease of removing when you actually have to flip it over. So now I'll place my steak fat side down into a skillet. Okay. Don't you love that sound? That's amazing. I'll be rendering the fat of the steak for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll check if it's perfectly rendered and we'll start searing the rest. Now the fat is completely rendered. As you can see, there is a little bit of liquid fat in the pan. I want to show you what the color is. So this is the color of the fat when it's perfectly rendered. Now we can finally sear the sides of the steak. Che profumo! Smells really, really, really great. A couple of minutes on each side, so since there are 3 flat surfaces here, I'm going to do top, bottom, and then the side, and then we'll check it for doneness, and if necessary, we'll put it in the oven. We're ready to flip the steak on the other side. I want to show you first, this is the way it looks when it's perfectly seared. It's a little bit brown, but as you can see, the caramelization is really great. We're going to wait a couple more minutes to caramelize the second side, and then we will caramelize the last part, which is basically the part opposite to the fat, and then check for doneness and figure out if we need to put it in the oven. It's been about 1.5 minutes because our pan is getting really hot. So I'm now searing the last flat surface of the steak. I'll check it in a few seconds actually, and then I'll show you how it looks. So now we have caramelized each side of our steak. The steak is right now at the level of rare. So if you like your steak rare, you should stop right here. However, how do I know? Because I do the test of the hand. See this muscle over here? This muscle is pretty much the same texture as the steak. So when you check the steak over here, or in the fattest area of the steak, which is here, it should be pretty much the same texture as this. And it actually is. So this will be the texture of rare, this will be the texture of medium rare, this will be the texture of medium, and finally, well done, is this. As you contract this muscle of the palm of your hand, you will have exactly the same texture as the meat as it progresses during the process of cooking. So I want to put now my steak on one of the sides and stick it into the oven, which is been preheating at 400 degrees, because I want my steak, I like it actually medium rare. And now we have to wait. I know, waiting for the steak to be done is really bad, but don't worry. It's about 3 minutes on each side. So I have it, I put it in the oven right now, and I'm going to wait for 3 minutes and then flip it on the other side, and then we're done. 3 minutes have passed, we're ready for the flip. Yay! Okay. Oh, you can already feel that it's getting cooked to medium rare. Okie dokie. Here we go. 3 more minutes and then we're almost ready. Now it's time. Let's take the steak out of... Ooh, that's really hot. Oh, sorry. It's really hot. Okay. So let's turn this off. Now I'm going to move it to a cutting board and tent it. I'll show you exactly what I mean. This is our cutting board over here. I'm going to place it on top of the cutting board, and now we leave it to rest because, you know, this steak is tired. It's been working a lot. So to prevent it from having all the juices fly out as soon as I cut it, I'm now going to tent it like this and wait for 5 minutes, and then I'll cut into it because all the juices will have completely redistributed. And now you might ask, what are we going to do with the juices that are still in the pan? Well, let me tell you, if you plan on making a nice steak sandwich, I would use this to actually cook and toast the bread. It would be so delicious. But today we're only having steak, so we'll just focus on the other guy over there. So 5 minutes have passed, about 5 minutes, and now we are ready to remove the tent, the little blanket we put on the steak, and we're ready to cut it. So I'll use this, and I'll actually cut it this way so you can probably see how it looks. Ho ho ho! That's perfect. Wait a second, let me take a better slice. Here we go. See? It's the perfect medium rare. It's slightly pink on the inside and it's perfectly seared. So this is really the best way of cooking steak. I gotta tell you, this is absolutely foolproof. If you follow these tips, I kid you not, you will always have the perfect steak. Of course, if your guests like it medium, you're gonna keep it in the oven a little bit longer. But personally, I think this is absolutely the perfect way of cooking steak. Actually, you know what? Let's give it a try right away, because I can't resist. Che buono! This steak is absolutely great. And yes, guys, I couldn't resist, so I decided to also make a steak sandwich today. So it's going to be a really delicious Sunday meal. Here is the perfect steak. I hope my tips will be helpful. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the page. It should be down here or up here, depending on what YouTube looks like today. And I'll see you again on the next Cooking in Manhattan. But now, turn off the computer and get cooking.